the computers, do they have the agenda and everything on them too, or?
Yes. Yes, there is a way to access them.
I'll just use my iPad, because that way I know how to navigate.
Okay. Yeah, mine's not even on.
Oh, we'll see this out in front as well, right?
Yes, whatever they bring up,
Okay.
IT.
Why is it when I get in the seat, I start yawning? No. It's so hot. I knew that was there.
No, because we would have to sit.
One of your colleagues will be here. She has a copy. Board member.
To me, three.
What did I say?
Huh?
I said, as you should, a real busy man.
Yes.
What's wrong with me?
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a quick night tonight.
What? Sir?
I know y'all go far. But your candle will stay there.
Yeah. Oh, Janice Rustin. Yes, thank you. You're the clerk?
I can't.
I did go to the banana with a white, health slasher, deli market.
Another one.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
They have that and,
This computer's worthless. Okay, great.
Oh, you have a binder?
Good, yes, that's why.
Yeah, because
I just, even for the city commission meetings, I like to be able to,
flip through, and I see that because the way this is set up, like it's not just a one big PDF that you can scroll through.
That'll make it worse.
and I did, so you know you're done.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, I got that binder for the installation, county
Lots of
twenty.
construction going on
But I
on
got like.
Boynton Beach Boulevard. It came down Boynton Beach Boulevard.
yeah, FDOT is doing a big, and we bought most of those.
Because it was West Boynton Beach Boulevard, I
Yep.
wonder if that was part of the ILA for those projects.
Yes,
They're all gonna
it
be
was.
torn down.
They are gonna, yes, that's part of the tonight, one of the items tonight, yes.
Exciting.
Correct.
And then I got
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Today is Tuesday, June 9th, 2026. The time is now 6 p.m. and the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency Board is now called to order. Let's proceed to the invocation led by Board Member McCray, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Board Member Kelly. Let's all stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Let us pray. O most holy and eternal God, Father, the creator and maker of all mankind. Father, here we are once more and again, standing in your presence. Father, on yesterday, there was an earthquake. It even shook Boynton. We just want to say thank you for reminding us that this is still your world and that you're still in charge. Tonight, we will deliberate on our business by this city. Let us be cognizant of what we say to each other, because what we say is going to be put down on the record. That's going to be presented for Boynton years and years away. Let us be kindful of all mankind, and most of all, let us show more love for our brothers and sisters. In your name we do pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Let me turn to our minute specialist, Catherine Cherry. If you could please begin the roll call.
Rebecca Shelton, Chair.
Present.
Thomas Turkin, Vice Chair.
Present.
Angela Cruz, Board Member. Mac McCray, Board Member.
Present.
Amy Kelly, Board Member.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We are now moving on to additions, deletions, corrections, and agenda. Let's begin to my right, Board Member Turkin. Do you have any?
Actually, I do have one thing. Here. What I'd like is consensus to allow staff to look at the lease agreements with the recreational boats over at the marina. There's been some concerns about fish carcasses being dumped in the marina. However, from the research I've done, is that there's no actual law that bans that. And you go to almost any marina in South Florida, that's where they're putting the fish carcasses versus in the trash can, in the dumpster, you know, next to all these commercial businesses. So I've been talking to staff, so I just want to get support for them to look at these lease agreements and see what we can do to adjust them if they need to be adjusted. I know that there were some issues with some other agencies with like FDOT and our permitting over there that requires that. So I just want to give them the autonomy to look at that. So that way these people aren't getting kicked out for something that's, you know, essentially just language, you know, in a contract.
Okay, fine with me.
That's fine.
I'm with me.
You got it. Thank you. Board Member Kelly
No, thank you, Chair.
and Board Member McCray.
Thank you, Chair. I have nothing tonight.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. We are moving on to legal. Council, are there any updates?
Yes, Janice Rustin, standing for Catherine Rossmell today. Just wanted to update the board on recent legislation regarding property tax exemptions. I'm sure you already all have heard that if approved by referendum this November, the homestead exemption will increase to $150,000 starting January 2027 and up to $250,000 in January 2028. This amount will be adjusted annually for inflation. The second amendment is how ad valorem taxes may be used. It identifies 6 core areas that a city can use its ad valorem taxes for, including a catch-all, which is any other service approved or adopted by the board. So in the last iteration of this legislation, they added a nice catch-all for boards to actually add core services. That restriction on ad valorem taxes does not apply to CRAs or special districts, so I just wanted to report on it, but definitely these changes will impact the CRA budget.
Thank you very much. Now let's begin informational items and disclosures by my fellow board members. Board Member McCray.
Thank you. I have one informational item that I shared with our vice chair this afternoon. When he walked up smiling, I told him you need to be home asleep. Since you're embarking on fatherhood, you're going to need all your rest, sir. Disclosure, I'd like to say that I spoke with Jeff Burns casually in regards to what's on the agenda, because I was kind of a little surprised and taken back that after 6 years, it's still on the agenda. Thank you.
Board Member Kelly.
Thank you, Chair. Just real quick, I just wanted to take a quick minute. I went to Rock the Marina this past weekend. Thank you to Mercedes and Gabby and all of the CRA staff for putting on a great event. I thought it was busy, but not crazy busy. But I think the marina got a lot of good business, and it was well attended. I also spoke to Jeff Burns with regard to item 15A as my disclosure. Thank you.
Board Member Turkin?
Yep, I'll ditto the sentiment about the Rock the Marina. It was a great turnout, great effort, so thank you guys so much. Had a blast. And then I did speak with Jeff Burns and Nick Rojo about 15A.
I too did speak with Jeff Burns, and so that is my disclosure.
Mayor or Chair? I want to add something like I wasn't able to attend the event with the CRA this weekend. I had family members in town, but I do want to commend that staff did a marvelous job, and I do want to say something about Adam Temple and Amanda Radigan. They busted their butts getting in the budget with the CRA, and we, in addition to what we presented last meeting, they've looked at and we've been actually able to save about 1.3 million more annually, so on the CRA's budget. So kudos to those guys.
Okay, next we are going into our information-only items, the project update on the Residential Improvement Grant Program. Is that going to be you, Mr. Duggar? Ooh, I have it as you in my, okay, it's Bonnie. Come on down.
Good evening, Board. Bonnie Nicklin, CRA Economic Development Director. Just wanted to keep the board updated with the program. It's still evolving. With the adoption of the ILA for procurement services today, if the board moves forward with that, we'll be able to work with city procurement to put out an RFQ for the contractors. So that way we can launch the contract list of contractors and the program all together as one package. And we hope to do that sometime in August. So just wanted to keep you updated.
Thank you. Let's move on to announcements and award. There's one announcement. Staff, come on down.
Good evening, Board. Mercedes Coppin, Business Development Manager. We are excited to host our second Rock the Plaza of the season at 1 Boynton on Thursday, June 25th. This activation will take place from 5 to 9 p.m. and feature live music from the band Spread the Dub. We look forward to promoting our local businesses during this activation, and we will be showcasing our sample station, which will have samples for all of the local businesses, as well as some of the businesses like Man Cave for Men, and some of our newer businesses will be exhibiting outside of their businesses. So we just welcome the community out to support local. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment. The public comment section of the meeting is for public comment on all items on the agenda or items that are not on the agenda. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes to comment on all items. However, the board retains the right to increase or decrease the 3-minute limit prior to the start of public comment. Each public speaker shall be given the same number of minutes unless it becomes necessary to terminate a speaker's comments in order to maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum. Persons making public comment may not assign or donate their public comment time to any individual to allow that other individual additional time to comment. However, any persons requiring assistance will be accommodated as required by the American with Disabilities Act. Prior to addressing the board, speakers present at the meeting will go to the podium to make their comments, and participate virtually will unmute their device as requested. If anyone would like to public comment, please come down now. Well, all right then. Moving on.
Here, we don't have anyone online either.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Public comments now closed. Yeah, my stuff's wrong. There's nothing that should be pulled there. Hold on, there's an issue. We have two different things going on here.
Yeah, we're here. We just
Consent agenda.
Yeah.
Would any of my colleagues like to pull anything? Board Member McCray
I'm good, thank you.
and Board Member Kelly?
Second.
No, Chair, second.
That's okay.
No,
We
you're
have a
fine.
motion to approve consent agenda, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Okay. Hold on, gotta keep on. Moving on to, now we'll continue to old business. Item 14A is the consideration of the First Amendment to the interlocal agreement between the City of Boynton Beach and the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency.
Chair, I think we're doing 13A,
Over
the consideration of new assignments for the CRA Advisory Board.
Yeah, it's not on here. Hold on, there were some edits to this before. No, it goes from 11 to 14. So.
Yes, on the agenda is,
13.
Consideration
Yeah,
of new
13A, so
assignments for the
just-
CRA board, yeah. Let me go back into this one. We'll tighten up these. agendas.
so I think a good exercise, since at the last CRA meeting, we were talking about like the CRA plan, right? So maybe have them kind of give some input and focus on that. I think that'll be a good exercise and allow them to like make a good impact. So, I mean, that's the only thing I can come up with, and, you know, I think it's a plenty to do.
Yeah, well, we're moving into the budget cycle too, so I think one of the exercises we normally have them do is review the budget for, property acquisition, what we have allocated and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm good with that. Adam, are there any updates after their presentation at the last meeting?
No, not at this time. No.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my take is that I don't want them to have to wait for an assignment if they think of something that's beneficial to this board. If you all could bring it to our attention for us to look at so that we can get on board, everybody. I'm just saying you all have ideas as well. I'm willing to listen. Thank you.
Wait. Okay, now we're at 14A.
Yes.
Consideration of First Amendment to the interlocal agreement between the City of Boynton Beach and Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency for Master Administration Service. Staff, can you open the item?
It's going to be me, Madam Chair. We have 3 amendments that we need to add to the administrative ILA. The first is going to be to add Amanda Radigan as the Deputy CRA Director, and she's going to be sitting up on the dais with us whenever she's on vacation currently. The second is going to be to add a records keeper, essentially someone that's going to be in charge of fulfilling public records requests. Currently, it stands as the executive director. The way it's written is the facilitator of all records requests and record keeper. We want to move that responsibility over to the clerk's office like we have on the city side, because in records management has evolved since the 1990s, and having the executive director fulfill all these public records requests that we have coming in, it's just not a logical logistical item to have one person in charge of all that. So moving that over to the clerk. And then the procurement item, there's going to be a annual savings. Currently, Lewis, Long and Walker, the firm handles all your procurement. So what we would like to do is move the procurement aspect of the CRA over to the city side and use Andrew Rosowski, who award-winning procurement director, have him handle all the procurement demands of the CRA moving forward.
I have a question in regards to number 2, records keeper. Will that be someone that we presently have employed, or are we looking for someone new?
No, sir, that's going to be folded into the responsibilities within the city. We're not going to hire anyone new.
Thank you. Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from my colleagues?
Second.
We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Moving on to item 14B is the consideration of the revision of Exhibit A to the interlocal agreement between Boynton Beach CRA and the City of Boynton Beach.
Good evening, Board. Therese Satterback, Development Services Director. It is simply a revision to the Exhibit A to the Master ILA, moving money within it, not adding money to it. So we had an adjustment to, it's up on the screen, number 7, Centennial Park, that came in much lower because I guess we didn't decide on the AstroTurf, so, and it looks beautiful, by the way. So we're going to take money out of that line item, and the Historic Women's Club, because our CRA project manager Tony has gone over the electrical. It was for electrical for the women's club, and it's come in much lower. So we're going to take money from there, and what we're doing is we're adding $500,000 for the demolition of the 14 parcels that we now have on Boynton Beach Boulevard, which I'm also going to try to go after a SWA grant, maybe to offset that if we have time. And the other thing was neighborhood signage for Inca. So it's just simply adjustment within.
Perfect.
Madam
So happy.
Madam Chair. Thank you. I'd like to get a record for myself and the rest of this board of the events that has taken place at the Women's Club. I'm just saying so I can be brought abreast of how well are we advertising and how well are they using the Women's Club. Thank you.
I'll make sure you get that information.
Very happy to see about the Inca signs. It's something that I know the community has wanted for a
Yes.
long time, so it's a good day today.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments from my colleagues? Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business, item 15A is the consideration of funding request for BBQOZ LLC for the 115 North Federal Highway Mixed-Use Project. Staff, can you open the item?
Yes, thank you, Board Chair. So as was previously mentioned by one of the board members, this is a project that has been on the books for quite some time. I've been with the city for almost 7 years, and it's been on the tables more or less around the same time. I'll give you a brief background on where we started and where we currently are today and what the request is in front of you for your consideration.
Real quick, there's a PowerPoint up that I think is unrelated to this item, so I just
It
don't-
is, yeah.
Yeah,
I
they,
just don't want the public to get
they-
confused.
They jumped the gun on the
Yeah.
financial
Thank you.
presentation.
So I'll give a brief little background. On June 7th, 2022, the CRA Board approved a purchase and development agreement for tax incremental revenue funding agreement and a parking lease agreement with BBQOZ LLC for the Pierce project. On April 9th, 2025, the parties entered into a second amendment to the PDA in order to close early on the property and conduct pre-construction work in order to facilitate the timely completion of the project. On May 16th, 2025, the board entered into a third amendment to the purchase and development agreement. And on May 16th, 2025, we entered into a first amendment to the TURFA. On November 14th, the CRA board entered into a fourth amendment to the purchase and development agreement to clarify the availability of public parking. The item before the board this evening is a request from BBQOZ to convert the existing TURFA agreement into a form of a grant incentive agreement that would condense the current payment schedule from a 15-year term into a three-year term. We provided a term sheet for each of you, as we discussed pretty extensively in some of our one-on-ones. Essentially, this is a three-year payment scheme. Incentivizes the developer to build the project as quickly as possible. Year one, the payment would be, hold on one second. $2 million would be paid within 40 days following receipt of the notice from the developer for completion of construction by evidence of the issuance of a temporary certificate of occupancy or a certificate of occupancy for all the residential units. The second payment would be paid $3 million, should be paid from the trust fund to developer 1 year after the first grant payment is made, but not before a certificate of occupancy is issued for the entire residential component of the project. And the third grant payment of $2 million would be paid by the trust fund to the developer 1 year after the second payment is paid. If you guys recall, just a little bit more context on this project, back when it came before the city for a major site plan application and additional development applications, including an abandonment, there was an adjacent property owner that filed, that appealed to the circuit court, the city commission's approval of that project. It did delay for many, many months, I believe over a year, potentially 18 months. So the project did not move forward during that time. As a project currently sits right now, there is a vested site plan. The land development permits are sitting in approved status. The building permits are also sitting in approved status. And we're hoping that should the board consider this request, that the project would commence hopefully very soon. One additional item for consideration is, should the board decide to approve this, staff would recommend through a budget exercise that we would allocate funds sooner rather than later because of pending homestead tax implications.
Thank you.
The developer is present, if you would like to hear from them.
Thank you, Chair. I really don't have any questions, but I do have some comments. 7 years, that's why I said this is kind of amazing to me that this developer did not walk away. And we're putting up things all around saying Boynton is growing. Some people said that we're going to set a precedent by doing tonight what we're going to do if we do it. But the developer set a precedent for us as a board. They did not walk away. They could have said, Boynton, the hell with you, I'm going to take my money and leave. I'm going to be honest. But they said, no, we're going to stay and fight. So if they stayed and fought for 7 years, that means that they're honest people, that they're on board, and they want to give Boynton a project that we all can be proud of. And that's all I need to say. And I want to say to Mr. Burns and your staff, thank you, sir, for not leaving Boynton. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may. Sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm in favor of this. I think Board Member McRae made some good points. I think the other point to think about is the litigation didn't just affect this project and the TIF agreement, but it delayed like the return on investment that we're going to see with these type of incentives. And then also it held up adjacent businesses, right? Hurricane Alley being one of those. And so, you know, a lot of people are getting affected by this. So my position, to kind of piggyback on what Adam said, is, you know, front loading this grant incentive to 3 years, or I would say even or sooner, because the quicker we get this off the ground, the quicker we, you know, no longer have that obligation. We can meet our other obligations with other projects that we have going on the CRA, and then the quicker we get that tax roll into the CRA budget. And so my only proposition is to add some language, if it's financially feasible, given everything going on with the homestead initiative, to add language in there or sooner. Because if we can get this project off the ground and you know, we hold our end of the bargain, then those dollars come back to us quicker. And so I would, you know, and maybe it's not sooner, maybe it is the whole 3 years, but if we have the ability to do that, then that helps loosen the belt for other TIF obligations that we'll see in the future that this board made. And yeah, I think, you know, staying with us through the litigation, a lot of things are out of our hands, out of the principal's hands, and out of the local business owner's hands. So, you know, unfortunately, we have to, you know, make these decisions. And ultimately, this is going to create jobs. This is going to create housing, you know, for police officers, firefighters, teachers, city employees, people that, you know, want to, you know, stay in the city and don't get priced out of the city. And, you know, I just ask that you guys continue and honor that marketing for local residents first, you know, because that's been a big theme, you know, recently, is we incentivize a lot of these housing initiatives. However, they get the beneficiaries of those are people that live outside the county. So my ask would be that you guys market to, you know, maybe it's the city employees, the residents, you know, generational people who are coming back from college, you know, and that way we can kind of make this benefit for the residents outside of the economic benefit that this project is going to provide. So that would be my only ask, is, you know, make sure that the housing initiative is specific for Boynton residents, and if not Boynton residents, the people who serve Boynton, such as our first responders and, you know, teachers, nurses, Bethesda, et cetera.
You?
Mayor,
Yes.
thank you. Legal, I have a quick question. I just wanted to make sure and confirm that it's in the agreement, or how will it void or cancel out the turf? I just want to make sure that there's language that's clear, that by entering into this grant agreement, the TURFA that has been agreed to and signed and amended and all that, the terms that are necessary, I just want to make sure that there's, that we're carrying over the terms that we negotiated in that TURFA, that the TURFA terms void, but not the conditions that the TURFA was set up under. So I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Yes, so this is drafted as a restatement, so it completely replaces the TURFA agreement. It's not an amendment to the TURFA agreement, it's a complete restatement. But it doesn't change any of the terms and conditions of the purchase and development agreement. So any promises or obligations in that agreement aren't affected, although there are certain, obligations that the developer has in the TURFA, and those remain.
Great,
The
thank you.
payment schedule has changed, and the penalties for or charging rent in excess of the amount required.
Okay, perfect, thank you. One quick, one of the things, and I guess this will be to Jeff and to staff, and thank you, Jeff, for coming tonight and for, as it's been said, for sticking with Boynton Beach on this project. I know Kim Kelly appreciates you sticking with her. This has been a long time coming, so I'm happy to see, hopefully this will move forward. One of the issues that we've run into, and I don't anticipate it, but I feel like I need to say it because we never anticipate that chaos ensues, and it does, is that the commercial aspect of the project gets overlooked or pushed off. And I'm just wondering, I talked to staff about this during my agenda review, I'm wondering if one of the conditions of the second grant payment could be having to do with either the shell build out of the commercial aspect or something that has to do with the commercial aspect, because what we ran into is residential, they got a, not on yours, a temp CO, and then walked away. Their contractors walked away, and we had leasees, Bonnie can tell you, that sat around for a year, hoping that the contractor would eventually come back and build out their shell, and then they're like, well, we didn't have an agreement. Anyway, it was a disaster, and we had to foot money, we had to make other arrangements and other agreements and force their hand to come back and get the work done. So I just want, if this grant program goes forward, I want to make sure that we're getting, and like I said, I don't anticipate this being a problem. I know you're solid on your projects. I've been to your projects. I've seen them up and running. But I have to say it, I have to put it on the record that I want to know if there's something that we can add within this, that maybe that second, and I know when I was talking to Adam, he was like, well, it's kind of, gets complicated, but I'm just wondering from you what you can agree to when it comes to the commercial aspect, but, when we're making that second grant payment, as it pertains to knowing that the commercial aspect is moving in the right direction.
Yep, Board Member Kelly. Good evening, Board. My name is Jeff Burns, the CEO with Affiliated Development. So to address your question, I think I can put your mind at ease by addressing your question in a couple different ways. First and foremost, we have a permitted set of plans that we're building to, right? So within those permitted set of plans, it includes the commercial space. We have to build that in order to close out our permit. The second thing being, we have nearly 17,000 square feet of commercial here. Mm-hmm. Our lender is giving us a lot of money. And if we don't fill that space, we're in a lot of trouble. So, we can, I don't think it's necessary to add something in the agreement because we are going to build it. We have to. We have a permit to build it, and they're not going to close out our permit until it's done. Ultimately, we have received a tremendous amount of interest on the commercial. The issue that we run into is if you're a commercial tenant, you want to know the exact day that you're moving in, when can you deliver my space? And that's been something up to this point that's been somewhat uncertain. So as soon as we put a shovel in the dirt, we're able to get things moving. We can give them a definitive time frame for delivery of the space. That allows us to adequately market the space and make sure that we get the best possible tenant. We don't want just anybody in there. We want somebody that's going to be representative of the job that everybody put into making this such a special area. So, but I believe because of the structure that's currently in place with the permit, and by the mere fact that we have a huge financial commitment incentive to lease this space, hopefully that puts your mind at ease relative to us making sure we get, somebody in that commercial space.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe what then we can do is it has to do with then updates to the board and where we are. And maybe it can be, solidified in that way that maybe it's in your updates to us that, because that's another thing, we stop getting updates once it's done technically on the residential end. So, so maybe that's, maybe it comes down to having reports and updates as the grant moves forward. We get those with the TRFAs and things like that. So, on that same end, so.
Yeah, and that is completely fine with us. We'll agree to have continual updates after it's completed, regular updates on the status of the commercial space. There will be nobody that wants it filled quicker than us. It's a lot of space.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from my colleagues?
I have one other comment. I'd just like to say for the record, out of those 7 years, the people that sat up here, I don't want nobody to go out and think and say that Commissioner McCray is blaming them, or Board Member McCray is blaming them. When you're dealing with government and projects, we have to go by the letter of the law, and we cannot move until it's time to move. And it just took that long now for us to move. So I like to say to those that sat where I was sitting, thank you for being patient and waiting as well. I'm just saying I'm not playing the blame game. You did the best that you could with what you had. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, do we have a motion?
Before you have a motion, can I just have some clarification on some of the direction from the board for the agreement? First of all, the addition of the language "or sooner," payments or
If
sooner.
financially feasible.
If financially feasible. Do you want them to make a request and have the board approve it, or you have some other mechanism by which the payments can be released? Adam, do you have any, what
Be
you
up to my
typically do?
colleagues.
I
I'm
don't
okay
have-
to do it with request and pending a commission approval.
Right, so currently, we have finalized an amendment with staff and legal counsel. And so, we're fine with that being, that language being in there, or sooner if financially feasible, as long as, we have the authority after this to be able to grant authority to CRA director and legal to finalize the agreement, so that we don't have to come back again for another approval.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
As long as they don't have to come back, because I don't want anything to hold the project.
We want to keep going.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
we're
correct.
fine with that.
We
Yeah,
can
we-
add that amendment in there if the developer is amenable to it. I just want to make sure that sooner financially feasible, subject to approval from this board.
Right.
Okay.
I would assume that we'll get some
fine
update
with
saying that, yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, and then the next one was the request to market to city employees, residents, specific to Boynton.
As a preference.
yeah.
Obviously, I understand it's
Yeah.
not, it's got to be a preference.
We have fair housing, but we do this all the time.
Yeah.
So what we do is we call it a first look program that allows us to basically pre-market this or give a preference to, city residents and then certain essential workers
Yep.
that are part of the community. And so we have language that we've proposed in the past that is good with fair housing and everything that we contend with from that standpoint. So, but we're more than happy to do that.
And the
Absolutely.
developers agreeable to have that added to the agreement then?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
first look
Yeah, we-
program, okay?
City residents, essential workers, veterans, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
Okay.
And then for having the reports on the commercial units, so if the payment, let's say, right now, the payments, the grant payments will end in 3 years or sooner. They have up to 10 years or 9.5 years to have complete construction. Do you want reports quarterly,
Well, I thi-
annually.
Well, I know that they're required to have an annual report already, so I just wonder if we can do the timing of that around that grant
Okay.
payment request, or however that.
So the annual report will also include a report on the status of the construction of the commercial.
Correct. Yeah, usually there's pretty pictures and fun stuff.
Yeah, we'll include a full leasing report as part of our annual report. So I think what we do in section 5.1 is just include some language that says that in addition to providing this particular information, we'll provide a full leasing status update for the commercial space.
Leasing or construction of commercial?
Construction and leasing
Okay.
is fine. So generally speaking, we'll have the space brought to a certain level, and then we don't finish it any further because every tenant has their own needs. And so then they will come in and they'll apply for a secondary permit to go ahead and complete the work. So it can be construction and leasing.
Those were the 3 items that were brought to our attention. So you could make, if you're willing to move forward, make the motion subject to the 3 changes discussed.
So move per the CRA attorney's most recent language, as
Second.
amended.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you,
get
Board.
those shovels
Appreciate it.
Yes.
ready.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 15B is the consideration of the CRA revised financial policies and procedures manual. Staff, is anybody else able to open? I've tried it like 3 times.
Look at that. The clicker works. Good evening, Board. I'm here to talk about the policy modernization for the cash and investment policy, which is a subset of the Financial Policy and Procedures Manual, which was last written in 2018. Really, the updating that's required, it comes around just some minor missing policies, 3 in particular from 2018, records retention, ethics and conflicts, and fraud prevention. And then on that, there's some statutes on updates within investments, the Whistleblower Act, and some records retention. Right now, we've identified that there currently has been no investment activity, at least over the last 2 years. And then on there, the change, there was some errors and inconsistency on the reporting side to where the document throughout the policy is stating that we do it on a quarterly basis to the board. What the policy is going to do is that under statute 218-415, it's going to take the current $40 million that we have sitting around. There's called, under the 218-415, it's called the prudent person rule, which gives the finance director authority to make investments without each transaction having to be approved by the board. For example, in order to make an investment right now, we've wasted 30, 40 days to make an investment. We've already missed $30,000, $40,000 of interest that could have been earned already. And then with that, I've gone ahead and added within the 2815415, the Chapter 280 requires that all investments go to authorized institution, which I provided for today that you guys are to approve. These are qualified, or QPDs, which are qualified public depositories, which means ensures the balance due to insolvency, that we will keep those balances no matter what happens, so through the state and Fed. And then there's some mandatory deployment in eligible cash for operating reserves must be maintained within 30 days. So when we receive cash, you must invest those investments, and then project new income, which I have a projection, high, low, and medium, which we'll discuss, and then obviously the quarterly board reporting. But with the cash and investment policy, what's always important is the safety of principal, liquidity, and the investment of income. And the investment of income falls well below the safety principle. Here are the seven QPDs I'm currently asking the board here to approve today. Bank of America, Pinnacle, Truist, which we already have money with, as well as TD Bank, Seacoast, PNC Bank, and Fifth Third Bank. These are enough to be able to accommodate having those discussions to invest the funds. I've already reached out to some of these. I'm already receiving 3.75% interest rate already, which is amazing, an introductory rate for $40 million. Right now, it's earning 0. That's roughly If you look on that, that's roughly about $1.6 million of interest that you could earn, $800,000 in the first 6 months. The nominal rate of one of the ones that offered is 3.57, which that's again another $700,000. So really, the financial policies and procedure manual, it's just some changes around internal controls. Make sure that we solidify the quarterly reporting. There are 3 new policy sections around records retention, ethics and conflicts, fraud prevention, and whistleblowing protection. There's also an auto follow-up, just to make sure the audit came back clean. It was the books are great. It's just that if there is any sort of corrected action from an audit, that it takes 90 days to correct that action. We need to have to commit to that. And then make sure that we have the budget controls that are in place, that if there are any 10% or 10K variances, that we understand those variance thresholds. And then from there, make sure that we have the proper attendant forms, ethics certification, wire transfer authorizations, asset disposal, budget amendments, and closing checklist. What's not changing? There's a whole lot that's not changing in the policies. Check writing signatures, accounts payable approval process, petty cash. Basically, all the daily functions that's going on today really have not changed in the policy. There was just minor changes that were happening before. And then the financial impact expected right now, honestly, from an active perspective, I would be disappointed if we got the moderate. I'm expecting a $1.2 to $1.5 million interest improvement. Expect that to go higher with the current cash inflow that's going to happen in October, November, as we push the balance up to $50 million, and actively making sure that that's invested in a money market that yields roughly 3.5%. So as I'm at, the request of board action is adopt the cash investment policy, approve the authorized institution list, and adopt a financial policy manual. There's no new spending authority created, no budget amendment required, and all 3, expecting all 3 of these actions to take effect immediately.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from my colleagues?
I have one question, and that is that dealing with the banks, I think you gave us 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yes.
We're not going to put all our eggs in one basket, are we?
Right now, no, we're not. Right now, it's in two banks. I expect it to be in 2 banks again. I think it would not be smart to, honestly, I think the marina, how that cash management works there, I think it's very complex. There's a good system that's going on. The team does a good job of reconciling that. I don't think I would mess with that. That would not be a smart move.
Fifth Third was on there?
Say that again?
Fifth Third Bank was on there?
Yes, it was just one of the ones that are on there that all that does is enable me to talk to them if they come to the table and want to do it. That's all it does.
They have been closing a lot of branches up in the
Yeah.
Midwest and I think in Florida, so I just wanted
We
to
can
make
swap,
note
no,
of that.
I'm not planning on going there. This is just enables me to talk to them so that I don't have to have board approval to discuss with them any sort of investment opportunities. If you want them removed, we can strike them.
I think it was 81 branches in Florida. It's a little concerning.
Yep.
And then in the Midwest somewhere, so.
We can strike them, not a problem.
And you derived this list for because of QPD?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm fine also, but still have some questions. I don't have any doubts. I'm just saying because, we are trusting your lead.
Yes, sir.
And we're trusting your lead also with the monies of the city. And I'm just saying, you got a lot on your plate.
Yes, sir.
I'm not saying you're going to do anything wrong, hopefully. Put that in there, you're human. But I just want to make sure that we get the best of our monies, whichever way we go, because we have lost monies and we never will catch up. But we can start from here and go forward. That's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no other questions.
Motion to approve?
Second.
So, all right, so we'll do a motion to
In
approve
Cs.
15B?
Yeah.
Second.
We have a motion to approve 15B, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Motion to approve 15C?
Second.
We have a motion to approve item 15C, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are moving on to D, consideration of CRA board travel to the 2026 Florida Redevelopment Association Annual Conference, October 23rd to the 26th. Staff?
Sure, I'll take the lead here.
I was
Yeah. Yeah,
still
so
looking out there, sorry.
Yeah, so there D&E, if we take D&E, there's two upcoming conferences that the CRA board has historically shown attendance to. The first one, D, is the FRA annual conference. It's October 20th to the 23rd in Charlotte Harbor, Florida. So, and then the next conference is, actually, they're on basically the same week, a couple days later. The International Economic Development Council's annual conference is October 25th through the 28th in New Orleans, Louisiana. So we were just trying to get an understanding, which board members would be interested to going to which conference. The only other thing that I would add is about a year ago, last July, you all had a board meeting regarding the travel policy. That travel policy was discontinued, for lack of a better term, by board action, because the request at that time was to bring an updated travel policy to make it more in line with how the city side plans travel and those expenses. So after conversations with the CRA board legal, based on the minutes from that meeting, we are going to bring an updated travel policy, but in the meantime, we will, she assured us that we could continue to move forward and mirror what the city currently does as far as travel for the CRA board. So at this point, we're just looking to get an understanding on who would like to go to what conference, and if you don't know, that's fine. We will get with staff and the aides to coordinate the travel arrangements.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so I will because I went to the FRA conference this last year, I will probably pivot and go to the economic development one. But my question with the economic development one, it says non-member. Is the city and the CRA not a member of that?
We are.
Okay, so Bonnie.
No? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening, Board. Bonnie Nicklin, CRA Economic Development Director. So they changed the membership format for IEDC, and it's no longer associated to an agency. It's individual only. So the board members, I would have to check on how the registration was made last year. So for anyone who went last year, your membership might still be active, but if you did not go last year, then you would be going either as a non-member or bundle it and get a membership and also get the membership fee.
I guess let me know the cost of that, just so I can weigh the pros and cons of that.
Yes, I can definitely get back to you on the pricing.
Perfect. And then since I'm not planning on going to FRA, I would offer my spot up to the CRA advisory board member, which we've done in the past, where we allow the chair or the vice chair or whoever from that board to attend in our stead. So that's my thought on that. And so I'll plan to go to the economic development one.
And the FRA membership is agency-based, so you're all members.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you. For me, I would like to recommend, I don't think I can make both, so I'd recommend Angela Tronowski. I think she might be the vice chair of this advisory board to go in my place. And then I would like to go to the IEDC conference. I think that one is an incredible networking, incredible workshops. And, I look forward to that this year.
Thank you. The one that I really would like to go to, I'm just saying that my schedule permits, is the one for Florida, because there's a whole lot happening here in Florida. And just coming back on, I don't want to go international right now, though I went to all the other ones before and all that stuff. I think it's best that I get my handle quickly on what's going on here at home before I go abroad. So that's probably the one I'll be looking at going local.
I have to look at both my work schedules. Okay.
Excuse me, one other, before we move off of that. Although we go and travel, I'm one of those fond believers when we're spending city funds that, we come back and share what we learn with board members, so although I wasn't there, at least you brought something beneficial back, you know. I don't need you to come back and say I went out 3 nights a week or something like that. I'm not being funny. Bring back something positive.
Agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there is nothing else for tonight,
I want to add one
for it.
possible future discussion item for
Okay.
board consideration. You guys see, we're doing business slightly different.
Oh, I think he's taking mine. Go ahead.
no.
Go ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead. I could be wrong.
I would like to look at consolidating the CRA board meetings, making and the way we would do it is we would craft a light agenda on the city side. We'd craft a heavy agenda on the city side. The light agenda, we would front load the CRA meetings to an hour to an hour and a half. So there'd be no more need for 3 meetings per month as a commission. So we could essentially get all the CRA and the city work done in a timely manner, being that you've seen changes to the agendas, you've seen changes to the dialogue, you've seen changes to the time frame of how we're doing business now. So it's just something to consider.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was what I was going to bring up, so thank you, city manager, CRA director. I think also, too, outside of like the consolidation, it's less staff time by having a third meeting. The other thing I think is, even if we don't, I think looking at having that CRA meeting twice a month or more than once a month, you then are able to do more business with the private sector quicker. And so then that allows things to move. And when time is money. And so when things move, I think everybody wins. So that's something I would support.
Me too.
I would support it as well, providing it stays on Tuesdays. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that there are a couple of cities that do it. I know Boca, for instance, does it. They have all their, kind of back-to-back meetings, kind of like what we've been doing with having a joint meeting, and then we close it and then go into it. And this is, Dan, this is for staffing, because we've had, when we do those joint meetings and then we go into a different meeting, there's all this IT down time where we have to wait 15, 20 minutes for the next meeting. I don't want to do this if then we're going to be sitting around twiddling our thumbs for 21 minutes, waiting for some notice or some policy or something that has to scroll through. So I'm happy to have this conversation and see what the logistics are of that. But until we know that it is a seamless transition from one to the other, I don't want to do that where we are sitting around twiddling our thumbs and having the audience sit for 20 minutes while we switch over to a different system or turn one YouTube video off to turn another one on. I don't really understand why there's that 20-minute delay, but if that, I think, needs to be addressed before we consider doing anything like this. But I'm happy to have this conversation. I think if anyone has any questions about doing such a thing or how it works, Boca does it already. I know other cities do it as well. But it does cut down on, not necessarily even staff, but all the IT, us being in this room, the AC, all the expenses of actually having a meeting. So those are my concerns with doing it. But if you can come up with a solution, then I'm ready to consider it.
I think also, like, maybe it's a matter of noticing it too. Maybe we could notice, I'm just trying to think about how to solve that problem. Like, maybe we notice it as a joint meeting, and then I don't know if there's an ability to just front load everything. And then that way, as far as like public records go, we meet the statute as far as the noticing requirement. But then on the agenda, you can have a CRA portion and then a city portion. So then that way, we follow the law, and then everything can be fluent as far as the presentation goes and whatever's on the agenda. I don't know if that's a
I think we have to
reality.
close the meeting and then start a new
I think we
meeting,
can do it
but-
because, as you say, Boca does it the exact same way, and so we take a look at that, but you're exactly right. It has to do with noticing a
Yeah.
time certain, so,
So
we'd
a
have
dual
to.
notice.
We'll take a look and
Okay.
we'll get back to you, but I think we can definitely, and that would be, then the CRA would meet the same nights as the city commission, city
Yes.
council, so twice a month, and the same nights as, so they'd be not joint meetings, but one after the other, but we've got to solve that notice
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the time, that's the thing.
And the IT, right.
And the other advantage to this is you're going to get a lot more interworking and with the city and the CRA, because essentially you're going to have all your personnel here from both entities.
Chair, thank you. we'll probably have to have a downtime because first of all, we're gonna have legals, they're gonna have to change and stuff like that with personnel, at least 5 minutes, I'm just saying, we got to, we can go out and make our phone calls then,
I'm assuming probably about a 10-minute recess should be acceptable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else
He
from my
wants to
colleague.
say- Commissioner Hay wants to say something. I'm okay to allow comment.
Sure.
Woodrow Hay, just a quick comment about this. I'm glad to hear that. But I would just caution that maybe you want to consider too limiting the time on certain items, because sometimes items can take too long. And I think, now this board would obviously have the power to override in special instances. But I think as a general rule, consider limiting the time that you spent on a given item. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chair, I neglected to mention in the beginning of the meeting, I know I shared with you, but Board Member Cruz messaged me before the meeting. She is at a conference for work in
Yeah.
Tampa, so that's the reason she is not present
That's
today.
okay.
So.
Yeah, we understand. If there is nothing else from my colleagues, is there? We have a motion to adjourn, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Everyone have a wonderful evening, and thank you.